Today, I'm on this ragged little train, taking one of Europe's most extraordinary routes, Bulgaria's only operating narrow-gauge line from Septemvri to Dobrinishte. It's a slow, spectacular journey through the Rhodope and Pirin Mountains, with steep climbs, looping tracks, and unforgettable views. At almost 100 years old, it's still running strong, and it's a living piece of railway history. Come along! Hi and welcome to Septemvri, at the foot of the Rhodope Mountains, 93 kilometers from Sofia. I've just arrived a little late, so I need to hurry to the narrow-gauge station, where my train to Dobrinishte is about to depart. In a bonus video I'll show you this station, but for now there's barely any time for anything other than a quick boarding, and we're off on our narrow-gauge adventure, with the inside face of the rails just 760 mm apart. And as usual upon departure, today's trip map and stats. The first section of this trip takes us across gentle plains before the line starts its slow climb into the mountains that we can already see in the distance. That's where the true spirit of the journey begins. Let's use this time before getting there for a train tour. As there aren't reserved seats, feel free to choose a seat wherever you wish. The passage between the cars is, let's say, old school, with metal gangways and handrails, but can be navigated easily with some precautions. Don't let the open air and cold breeze scare you, they are part of the experience. There's also a bar car, where I'll be having a little snack later in the trip. Besides being a tourist attraction in itself, this line is above all a public transport, and in winter, when everything around is under a deep blanket of snow, the train is literally a lifeline for many settlements along the line. In the current winter timetable, there are 4 trains in each direction between Septemvri and Dobrinishte, plus an additional service that serves Velingrad in one direction and from Kvetino in the other. Once we arrive at Dobrinishte, I'll take you through the technical side of the train, from the traction to the brakes, showing you how these little machines tackle the mountains. Our first stop is Varvara, a village of under 2,000 inhabitants, where the flat golden plains end and the mountains begin to take over. Please note the station master gave the departure signal, a reminder that despite being a narrow gauge, this is a proper railway with the same safety rules and regulations as the main line. As we pull away and start the ascent, now's a perfect moment to dig into the story of how and why this remarkable line was built. This narrow-gauge line began as an idea to knit together remote mountain communities and grew into one of the Balkans' most remarkable engineering projects. Work started in the early 1920s and built in sections through hard years and scarce resources, the line finally reached Dobrinishte in 1945. The engineers' answer to such inclement terrain was clever and patient. Instead of an impossible straight climb, they used loops, hairpins, tunnels and viaducts to gain height gently, always keeping slopes within the limits possible by the steam power of the time. The maximum gradient on the line is 32 per thousand or 3.2%, steep for railways but still manageable. Altogether, there are 35 tunnels on the line, 10 between Varvara and Dolene, where we are now, and the other 25 between Velingrad and Yakoruda, the most spectacular and dramatic section of the railway. Much of this work was done with muscle and simple machines. After World War I, modern earth-moving equipment was scarce and many of the tools we have today didn't even exist. So, thousands of meters of cutting, masonry and tunnel excavation were carried out by hand with the help of explosives here and there. For decades, steam locomotives hauled the trains, their smoke and whistles becoming part of the mountain soundscape. Diesel traction arrived later in the 1950s, and the first diesels to work here were Hungarian-built units from Gans. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any photos of these locos. Despite changes in motive power, the track layout, the spirals, the tight curves, and in general, the clever grade profile of the track remained true to the original vision. Riding today, you can feel that labor and ingenuity beneath your wheels. Each tunnel, bend and viaduct is a small miracle of early 20th century engineering designed to let ordinary trains cross extraordinary mountains. This little bit of history brought us to Dolene, around 20 kilometers and 45 minutes from Septemvri, perched at 560 meters above sea level, some 320 meters higher than where we started. It's a small station in the middle of the western Rhodope mountains and an excellent gateway for hiking and trekking. But for us, it's only a brief pause before we continue to Velingrad. While we head on, a quick seat tour. There are individual and double seats with a triple row at each end. There's a small table with a bin underneath, 220-volt sockets, overhead luggage racks, and my favorite, very large windows that open wide. A mirror and safety rules finish off the passenger amenities. Built in Bulgaria in the 1970s, these cars aren't new, but they're comfortable enough, charming, and perfect for this scenic ride. I'm getting a little peckish, so going to the bar car is in order. It's 2 cars down, and the trip wouldn't be complete without a visit. It's fitted with these comfortable blue seats plus 2 benches. Sitting here is reserved for those who order something like I did. A quick tip: they only accept cash, so keep a few Bulgarian leva handy. Otherwise, no snacks for you. Let's head back to my seat and keep enjoying the scenery. At Kostandovo, we pass another train heading in the opposite direction. No need to stop, just a friendly meeting at reasonable speed. After about 1 hour and 20 minutes, or 39 kilometers into the trip, we reach Velingrad, the spa capital of the Balkans. Home to around 22,000 people, Velingrad is famous for its more than 80 mineral springs, its therapeutic bath, and its peaceful mountain setting. It's one of Bulgaria's most popular year-round destinations, attracting both wellness travelers and nature lovers alike. From here begins the most spectacular part of the trip, the climb to Avramovo, the highest railway station in the Balkans. Between these 2 points, the line twists through bends, a dramatic hairpin, 16 tunnels, and 2 full spirals where the train passes over itself. An extraordinary feat of engineering, especially when we consider that it was all mostly done by hand. I let you enjoy this section quietly, just as if you were here with me. Sit back, relax, come along, and take in the magic of Bulgaria's narrow-gauge masterpiece. I'll see you in Avramovo. And here we are, Avramovo, almost 2 hours and a half and 68 kilometers after the start of our trip. At 1267 meters above sea level, this is not only the highest railway station in Bulgaria, but also the highest in the entire Balkan Peninsula. From the gentle plains near Septemvri to this altitude, our little narrow-gauge train has climbed over 1,000 meters, twisting and looping through the Rhodope and Rila Mountains to get here. The station itself sits quietly in a clearing surrounded by pine forests, almost feeling lost in time. The air is cool, filled with the sound of wind and the occasional diesel locomotive echoing across the mountains. It's a humble building, but the line itself is an icon of engineering and persistence. Avramovo opened in 1937 when this section of the line was completed after years of incredibly demanding construction through some of the toughest terrain in Bulgaria. No big machinery, just skill and endurance. After a brief stop, our journey continues, this time downhill toward Yakoruda, Bansko and Dobrinishte, with even more beautiful scenery, with 2 spirals, the final 9 tunnels, and the most fabulous scenery. As before, I'll let you enjoy it quietly. And here we are arriving in Yakoruda, 85 kilometers or 3 hours into the trip. This is a quiet town with over 6,000 inhabitants, perched at almost 900 meters over sea level between the Rhodope and Rila Mountains. The station sits right at the northern edge of the town and, as you can see, still preserves that typical charm of Bulgaria's small stations. For us, it's just another short stop, 40 kilometers or a little over 1 hour and 20 minutes before Dobrinishte and the end of the line. After Yakoruda, the dramatic landscape and track give way to a much gentler profile with broad open views, but with the mountain peaks always present in the distance to remind us that this is, after all, a mountainous region. One of the most important stations along the line is Razlog, one of the largest towns in the region, home to over 12,000 people. It lies in a wide valley framed by the Rila, Pirin and Rhodope mountains, making it a key hub for transport, industry, tourism and commerce. For us, though, it's just another brief stop on our merry way to Dobrinishte. From Razlog, it's only a short ride to Bansko, perhaps the most famous destination along this railway, and for good reason. In spite of being home to fewer than 10,000 people, Bansko has become one of Bulgaria's top winter resorts. It's well known for its ski slopes, but it's also a vibrant place year-round, attracting visitors with its traditional architecture, cobbled streets, and lively old town. The blend of preserved heritage, modern hotels, and its mountain location makes it a fascinating mix of alpine resort with historic Bulgarian town. The station itself is located just outside the town, being one of the busiest stops on the line, especially during the holiday season. We stop here for 7 minutes, time enough to show you this panorama of the train, a preview of the technical details that will come upon arrival to Dobrinishte. Legs stretched, I'm on board again for the last 10 minutes of the trip. From Bansko to Dobrinishte, it's just about 10 minutes over mostly flat terrain, the final stretch of our journey through the mountains. Even if the video won't end just yet, as we arrive in Dobrinishte, let me share my impressions of the trip so far. It's ratty, noisy and slow, but also beautiful, spectacular, cozy and full of charm. I'm loving every minute of it, and I hope you're enjoying the ride as much as I am. Here in Dobrinishte, I'll show you the shunting of the locomotive and take the opportunity to dive into the technical details of this remarkable narrow-gauge railway. As we arrive in Dobrinishte, our locomotive still has a bit of work to do before resting. After the passengers leave, it uncouples and runs around the train to prepare for the return trip to Septemvri. This part of the operation is called a runaround, and it's a classic feature of terminus stations like this one. The driver goes to the end of the station, moves the locomotive to the opposite track, goes to the other end of the station, then reverses it to couple again on the other end of the train, ready to lead it back the way it came. The couplers used here are balance lever couplers with a central buffer with link and pin, plus one screw coupling on each side. It's simple yet robust, and most suited for the curvy profile of this line. The brakes are simple compressed air brakes. As I show you some details of the locomotive, a Class 77, it's time to wrap up this spectacular trip about this living mountain railway still serving local communities almost a century after its first stretch opened. Thanks for riding with me on today's journey all the way to the end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share and drop a comment below. It really helps the channel grow and keeps these rail adventures rolling, always with a bit of history and technology. Thanks for coming along, and I'll see you next week.